Hello everybody, my name is Spoons Rattling, and today we're doing another sort of chill video. I've been doing a lot of modeling stuff today for that Crusade force I was telling you guys about. I'll do a showcase when it's all painted out. So we're just going to do a slightly more laid-back video today. I'll probably do a longer video tomorrow covering the Space Marine Crusade rules, and then, we'll be back to our usual scheduled program, at least for the most part. But this is just a tier list I found of a bunch of different Space Marine helmets, and I like Space Marines, and I tend to like their helmets, so I figured I would cover it. Why not? Just for fun. There's nothing serious about this. It's just, my opinion on things. So first up, we got a Black Templar. So let's call these like the Knight type helmets. The ones that don't necessarily have like a Vox grill or the rebreather apparatus, but instead come into that sort of pointed helmet type. I quite like these helmets. I think they're A tier easily. Absolutely fantastic. Definitely one of my all-time favorites, and I quite enjoy them. Next up, we have just a pair of Mark 7s, though these are Black Templar specific, probably from the Crusader kit. Mark 7's good. Not Mark 7, Mark 10, rather. I quite like Mark 10, though I will say I'm not a big fan of the studs on the brow. I never liked that, so I'm pushing this one down here. Next up, we have Grimaldus's helmet. I quite like Grimaldus's helmet, mainly because it's just Mark 7 with a little bit of extra gubbins going on. I kind of like the gritted teeth look. I think it just looks kind of metal, and overall, I quite like it. I am going to put it up here. It's not my favorite Mark 7 or anything, but I do quite like it. Next up, we have Grimaldus's helmet, or not Grimaldus, Helbrecht's helmet. I'm going to put this one in... probably in B tier. Now, this may seem a little strange, mainly because it's sick, but the only reason I'm putting it there is there's a helmet that's coming up that I think just does this look, but better, in my opinion. That's that. We got another Knight helmet. This one does have the studs on the brow, which I don't like, which definitely does knock this down to more like a B tier, but they're small. They'd be easy to remove. Otherwise, what's a rather good helmet, in my opinion. This is a great helmet. I love... Space Marine helmets with extra ocular enhancements on it, if you will. Very cool, and it's a Knight helmet to add to the bonus, so very cool. Next up, we have the Marshal's helmet. Now, I love this helmet mainly because I love this miniature. The Black Templar's Marshal is a sleeper favorite model of mine. I mean, I love any of the models. It's just like a direct lift from an old piece of artwork. So this guy's helmet is no doubt. This may seem a little odd, but I'm going to put it in S tier. I really like it. It's Mark 7, though, a little bit twisted from the usual appearance, but I don't really mind that, mainly just because it's a direct reference to a piece of artwork, and it looks like it came right off the page, so I've got no problem there. Next up, Emperor's Champion helmet. This is pretty much the same as the Knight helmets that are already up there, though I do like I like this version of the Laurels, I think, a little more than the ones that just sort of stick to the helmet. So I'll put this one in A tier as well. Next, we have this Black Templar's Relic helmet. This is the Crusader helmet, I believe was what it was called last edition. And I just like this version more than Helbrecht's helmet because it has the one eye visor, and that's just kind of what I like more. Easy A tier. Next up, we have a Blood Angel's Captain helmet. I think this helmet's fine. It's just Mark 10, but with some extra gubbins, but I'm going to put it in B tier. Next up, we have the Blood Angel's Captain Death Mask. Death Masks have always looked awful, so that doesn't really change now. I think the old Blood Angel's Captain from the 90s didn't look good. Dante didn't look good. The Sanguinary Guard didn't look good. And all of those are still true with their modern incarnations, because I just don't think Death Masks look very good, and this one is no exception. I think the face on this one is especially kind of weirdly scrunchy. I don't really like it. So we have a Beaky helmet from the Blood Angels. We have a quad set of these. These are obviously from Heresy. I do quite like Mark 6 helmets. I don't like them as much as Mark 7, but they're probably my second favorite standard Space Marine helmet. Though I think these ones are not my favorite in terms of Beaky helmets. I tend to prefer some of the other chapter or Legion specific, if you will, helmets. But it's still good. I'm gonna put these in sort of the bottom of B tier. I'm gonna put this one with the rack on top. I think this one works best because it's like a sergeant helmet. So this is the Blood Angels Chaplain, Jump Pack Chaplain, I should say, helmet. I like Chaplain helmets a lot, but this one always looked like it had a little mustache going on, sort of like a Ernie Ford, if any of you know who I'm referring to, or like the Walt Disney mustache almost. And I just don't like that. Honestly, if that was not there, this would be an absolutely great helmet, but because of it, I'm putting it in C tier. Next up, we got these are from the Angels Tiers, and I don't think these look very good. They weirdly remind me of like Noise Marines, or how Noise Marines are typically depicted. It's like a really, really bizarro take on a Mark 7 helmet, and I've just never really liked them. Their armor's pretty fine, I think, out of the muscular armor. I think they're some of the best, but still, definitely not a fan of these ones. Yeah. Blood Angels aren't having the best showing here, but I'm sure they'll have some eventually. So next up we have, who are these guys? These are also Blood Angels, evidently. I'm going to pull them up on the other screen, though. These are the, like, Crimson Dawn, I want to say? Something like that for the Blood Angels? Hold on, I'm pulling it up on the side. Oh, but I do quite like these helmets. They're kind of like... they kind of play into something that I always liked about Mark 7, was that like a very aggressive slant to the eyes. I always really liked that. And obviously these guys play into it. And they're sort of in the Knight helmet vein, where they have that pointed, or like, what's the way would you call this? Yeah, Dawnbreaker Cohort, that's it. These are like elite, extra elite jump pack Blood Angels. I think these helmets are pretty good. I'm going to put these in A tier. They're all pretty similar. I'm not a biggest fan of this one with the thing on its brow, so we'll put that one at the bottom, and the Sergeant one next, and then finally this helmet. Put Grimaldus above them. I like Grimaldus' helmet. This is from the Crimson Paladins. Now, I'm not the biggest Cataphracti fan, and this doesn't really do anything special in terms of Cataphracti armor, in my opinion. To make me like it. It's not like the very, very cool Lernaean Terminators or anything. Yeah, I'm going to put this in C tier. I just don't particularly care for it. This is the Legion Praetor for the Blood Angels. I think this is fine. The Mark IV helmet, I think, is solid enough. I mean, it's effectively the Mark X helmet. They're the same design. Though I prefer the Mark X incarnations usually. But I think this is a fine helmet. This is probably what I like this helmet. I'm going to put it up... Hold on, wait, no. Helbrecht is way too low on this tier. That's better. So here we have Tartarus armor. I have said this. I may be the only person on Earth that thinks this, that I think Tartarus armor is way cooler than Cataphracti armor. And Tartarus armor, I quite like its helmet. Again, it's just Mark IV/Mark X. But I mean, it's just a little bigger because it's a Terminator equivalent. But I quite like the Tartarus helmet. I'm not going to put it... yeah, I won't put it in A tier, but I'll put it at the top of B tier, in my opinion. We're back to the peak. Indominus Terminator armor clears Tartarus, it clears Cataphracti, no problem. Easily the coolest mark of Terminator armor, and the helmet's no different. Easy S tier. Next up, we got the sort of apothecary helmets. I do like the Bionic Eye. It kind of reminds me of Kopaka, actually, if any of you are familiar with Bionicle. I quite like this helmet. It's just a Mark X with some extra gubbins on it. So I think that probably earns it right around, like, here. You know, in sort of this mix. A lot of the Mark X or Mark IV equivalents are going to go here. Next up, we have the Sanguinor. Now, I will say the Sanguinor's death mask, I think, is like the best of a bad bunch. I think just because he's bigger, it doesn't quite look so strange like it does on every other death masked model. I don't know. I think the Sanguinor's fine. It's still not a favorite of mine, but I'm not going to put it in D tier. And Dante's is going in D tier. Definitely on the better end of death masks, but still, it just doesn't do much for me, personally. Next up, we have Lamarty's. Lamarty's helmet, on the other hand, I quite like Lamarty's helmet. I think this looks very cool. I'm going to put it just in front of Grimaldus. I love the screaming skull look. Paint name, pun not intended. But I think it looks great. I think it represents Lamarty's being, half, maybe like 75% insane very well. Overall, I quite like Lamarty's new model. Next up, we have the Sanguinary Guard death masks. Now, I've already said my piece on death masks like 3 times already, but yeah, I don't really like this helmet. I've seen a lot of people saying it looks like a Stormcast helmet, but I think it's more proper to say Stormcast helmets look like Sanguinary Guard than Sanguinary Guard look like Stormcast, because Sanguinary Guard did it first. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. No. I like it more than the Captain one, but not as much as the others. Now we're on to some Dark Angels. This is a pretty fine lineup of sort of knightly helmets. Weirdly, I'm not the biggest fan of the Dark Angels heresy aesthetics, excluding things like the lion, obviously, because obviously he's just inherently very cool. Um, but yeah, the helmets they're kind of just bland in my opinion. They just don't really inspire much in me. Like they just look like they could be on any marine. Um, it's kind of contrived, but I like my Dark Angel special helmets to have hoods or big sets of wings, which the Sergeant helmet does have. But overall, these are kind of like low B tiers. I think they don't do too much, though they are at least unique. And I'll put this guy at the top of that pack. Next up, we have these are from the Legion's Dark Angels companions, Deathwing companions, I believe is what these guys are called. You see, I like these helmets most of the way. I don't like the metal strip going down the helmets. I think that kind of ruins it for me. Like these would easily all be like A tiers if they didn't have that. But yeah, I just don't like the whole metal strip thing going down their heads. I think it ruins the whole look. I would much rather just a Vox grill there. That is the perfect way to punctuate a Space Marine helmet. Yeah, these guys are not great, but they're not like hideous, so I'm gonna put them in like C tier. You know, they're fine, but they're not special. I like this guy the most, the guy at the top of the tier list, top of the tier, because it reminds me of the old Dark Angels company master, if you guys remember that guy with the humongous shoulder cape. Great model. This is from the basically the Deathwing Terminators, if I'm not mistaken, right? I believe so. Inner Knights, Cenobium. I have them pulled up just so I can pull up their names. Actually, no, wait. Who is this from? Oh, is this their Praetor? I believe this is their Praetor. The Dark Angels Legion Praetor. Legion Praetor. Marduk Cedrus. Corswain. Where's that? Yeah, this is from the Praetor. This is... I don't know. You think I would love this. It's a Terminator helmet, but no, I really don't. It really doesn't do much for me. I'm gonna throw it right here. It's just kind of plain. The Dark Angels and Heresy have some cool units. I quite like the Interruptors, with the plasma combi weapons and stuff like that. But no, these guys just don't do it for me. Interrogator Chaplain is sick. I mean, it's a skull helmet and he's wearing a hood. What more could you ask for, really? It's so sick. Hooded Space Marines, it's like this design is peak, and then it's just a guy in armor wearing robes. Yeah, that's the Dark Angels, and that's why this helmet is an S tier, because it is just so cool. Next up, we have the Blade Guard helmets. I like the Blade Guard helmets. They're pretty much just your standard knight helmets. I'm gonna put them. Hold on. I'm gonna reorder this. I'm gonna put these guys over here and bump Lamarty's and Grimaldus up a little bit. Yeah, I like the Blade Guard. Lion's Helm, easy S tier. It's a Mark 7 helmet, so it's already the best kind of Space Marine helmet, and it's got giant wings on it. It's sick. I love the Lion's Helm. You can't beat it, and it's impossible to do it, so why even try? It also part plays into this. I've said this a few times, but Azrael was the first 40k model I ever saw. Not this Azrael, but the old one. The helmet was still the same. He just wasn't wearing it. Lion's Helm, absolutely fantastic. Deathwing Terminator, Deathwing Knights helmets, again, easy S tier. I think this, weirdly enough, this has this sort of metal stripe going down the helmet, but it's only on the mouthpiece, which I think works better than the entire head. Maybe that's why, but I love the Deathwing Knights and the Legion Deathwing companions. Don't really do it for me. Is that difference? It's the level of metal stripe going down the head. I never noticed that design parity, though, between the two of them. Very cool. Once again, it's peak. Mark 7 helmet wearing a hood, peak. It doesn't get any... There's nothing more can be said. This design is perfect. You can't improve on this design because it's already perfect. This is the Ravenwing guy, or not Ravenwing, Raven Guard guy from Kill Team Cassius, right? Yeah, Kill Team Cassius. Yeah, this is the Raven Guard guy. He's got the Akimbo lightning claws. I think this is fine. It's your standard beaky helmet, but that's fine. There's nothing wrong with being a beaky helmet. I'm gonna put it just behind Helbrick's. Just behind Helbrick's helmet. This is a helmet I really like. Now, I'm not gonna buy Kill Team Cassius because I honestly don't care for most of the legions represented there. But this guy, the Salamander in that kit, is so sick. I love the rebreather gas mask look on an Indomitus helmet, because you're taking an Indomitus helmet and then giving it like huge breathing vents. It's sick. I don't need to say more than that, because if you like Space Marines, you like this. Like, this is just how it goes. Easily right up here. Next up, this is the heavy bolter guy. Or, no, it's a frag cannon, isn't it, that he's carrying? Something like that. He's an Imperial Fist. I think this helmet looks kind of stupid. It's like a knight helmet if the knight had, like, crazy jowls. Like that old Gene Stealer called Patriarch, you know, the big fat guy in the limousine. Yeah, no, this helmet is pretty mediocre. I think the blast shield, I guess is what you would call it, way too big, and it kind of just ruins the whole helmet for me. Yeah, easily going here. Next up, we're on to the Grey Knights. So these are Grey Knight Inceptors. They're the ones with the white helmets, right? I'm not the most familiar with Grey Knights. The basic guys, what are they called? Those with the white heads are Purifiers. This is a Purifier Sergeant given by the skull on his helmet. The Grey Knights strike squads are getting on a bit in age, but I still think this design looks good. Honestly, it's just kind of a worse version of these Blood Angels up here. I'll put it right behind the Raven Guard guy. Next, we have the same thing. I'm just going to put these two together. I'm not sure even why these two different ones are here. And then the same thing, but silver, just for the normal Grey Knights. I think this is fine. I honestly kind of prefer it in white to silver, but that's a color thing, not really. Grey Knights Terminators, on the other hand. I am so down with Grey Knights Terminators. I love this. This is the peak of a knight helmet for a Terminator, for a Space Marine in general, in my opinion. Like, it doesn't get better than this. It has the angularness down. It has the breathing holes. It has everything that a knight-like helmet should have, which makes sense because they are Grey Knights. And yeah, you know what? We're gonna stop beating around the bush. These guys are easily going up into S tier. Yeah. You may notice I quite like Terminators. I think most of my viewers that have been watching for a little while know that I love Terminators. And this is just more proof of that. I love Terminators. Terminators are the coolest Space Marine thing. Next up we have Castellan Crow's helmet. Castellan Crow, nice new updated model. I think his helmet is just a more refined version of the Grey Knight's helmet. So I'm going to put it right around here. It fits right in with the modern knight helmets, and it looks great. Castellan Crow is such a good model update. I can't wait to see the rest of the Grey Knights get their updates. So this is from the Imperial Fist's Legion Praetor in Terminator armor, if I'm not mistaken. Well, obviously it's Terminator armor. You can tell by the shroud over his head, which I do quite like. But still, I'm pretty sure this guy's in Cataphractii armor now. Let's see. Is he in Cataphractii armor? I know this is about the helmet itself, and I do quite like this helmet. But it's just... Yeah, he's in Oh, no, he's in Tartarus. He's in Tartarus. Okay, he's based. I quite like this helmet, personally. It's not like a top tier, but I'm going to put it like right around Helbrecht's helmet. I know it's strange, but I mean, it's just kind of how it goes, right? This is a Legion, like, gunner, isn't it? Is he even, like, specific? He is Imperial Fists, I'm almost certain of it. Decurion Sagittar, is this the helmet option for this guy? I've never seen it. Yes. So I'm looking at this helmet on the other screen, and I mean, yeah, it's like a knight helmet. I like the singular visor. It's a Mark II helmet almost. Somewhere between Mark II and Mark III. I quite like it. He's got the cool targeting system. I'm gonna put this guy right with the right above the Angels tier. Dawnbreaker cohort. I mean, the Imperial Fists, it's simple, but it gets the job done. The knight aesthetic is good. I'm going to put it behind these guys, just because I kind of like the more exaggerated look of the Dawnbreaker cohort. And also, I think there's maybe a few too many laurels there. just personally. Next up, this is the normal Praetor, right? Just running around in Mark III armor. Yeah. This model's pretty solid, but that's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about his helmet. I've never been the biggest fan of the sideways plumes that a lot of the Heresy models have. And I think this helmet is kind of... I don't know. I don't really care for it that much. I think it just looks a little dopey. I'm going to put it like back here. In front of the modern Imperial fist, but behind the Dark Angels. This guy, on the other hand, this model's fantastic. The Evander Garius. I quite like his helmet. I think he's cool. Even though he's wearing Cataphracti, it works for me. It does it. Like, I don't hate Cataphracti. I'm going to put this up right behind Helbrecht's helmet. Yeah, that's a good spot for it. And then who's up next? Oh, Shrike. Well, Shrike, you aren't wearing a helmet. Do you have one? Is Kayvon Shrike... What is this guy's name? It's Kayvon Shrike, right? Kayvon Shrike. Bravengard. Is he getting reboxed or something? No, there he is. Kayvon Shrike. Yeah, Kayvon Shrike doesn't have a helmet. How bizarre. Well, that immediately just puts you in D tier because you don't even have a helmet, buddy. Put your beaky helmet on. That's what I would do if I ever got this model, which I actually quite like Kayvon's model. I think it's quite solid. But yeah, just give him a helmet. Next up, we're on to Heresy Salamanders. Heresy Salamanders, yeah. Who is this on? I actually don't recognize this helmet. The Pyroclasts. Alright. I don't know, this helmet is kind of strange. I don't really like it. It looks like the veil thing I just don't think looks right. Yeah, this looks bad. Vulcan Histon. I mean, it's just a Mark 7 helmet that's slightly fancified. I'll give him A tier. I like Mark 7, and it's just Mark 7 but a bit more fancy. I think Vulcan Histon in general is a pretty nice model. This is from the... I just did a video on him. Grey Hunters. And I think it's a solid enough. It's just a Mark 7. I think it looks a little strange. It's not the picture I would have used. But yeah, it's a Mark 7. I will say this particular Mark 7 doesn't look very good. So I'm going to drop it down around here. These are the modern Space Wolves beakies. I mean, they're beakies. They're beakies. That's all there needs to be said about that. I'm not the biggest Space Wolves fan in general. Moving on to something more positive. The Reavers. Reavers, I'm not going to spend much time on them, but they look very cool. These are technically Hounds of Mordecai, but I mean, tomato, really. God, what is this? The Iron Priest, if I'm not mistaken. I think this guy looks so dumb. But I mean, hey, like Legion, like member. I say Legion, I mean chapter. The Iron Priest. This helmet looks dumb. It really does. It reminds me of this is a serious deep cut, and I'm not gonna show it. He looks like a mod wolf from the Mighty Boosh. If someone gets that in the comments, I'm pinning you. I'm pinning that as the top comment. Yeah, this model looks horrible. This helmet looks horrible. I'm putting it below Kayvon, and Kayvon doesn't even have a helmet on. But get a normal helmet, Iron Priest. You look dumb. More beakies that are... I'll put them above the... No, I won't. They're just beakies. There's nothing more to be said. These are the... Well, this is from the... Not Honored of the Chapter. It's like Ultramarines Chapter Veterans? It's not the Masters of the Chapter. Chapter Veterans? What unit is this? These guys were on made to order. No, they're actually still available, aren't they? Weirdly enough, like, they came back from, like, being not in production for 15 years or something like that. It's a really old metal, or I think it's resin now, kit. What unit is this? I know it, but I can't think of the name. I thought it was on the website. I will find this, but in the meantime, I'll give my thoughts. I quite like this kit. I think it looks quite Ultramarines Honor Guard. It is still available online, weirdly enough. I think this kit's pretty solid. It's just, some fanciful Ultramarines, and this guy's a standard bearer. That's important to this. But it's just kind of this is like almost a proto-Knight helmet, because I think this is around the time the Grey Knights came out, which is where you really started to see that helmet style come into the fore. I think the old Sword Brethren might have had something similar, but not quite the same. But I like this helmet. It's solid. What can I say? I'm going to put it up here on the Mark IVs. This I'm going to bump up to right around Helbrecht here. It's just a cool helmet with a cool plume. I like this style of plume way more than the horizontal plume. And just for that, we're moving you down. I think the horizontal plumes do nothing for me. This is a Victrix Honor Guard from, who's his face? Marnie's Calgar. Which is actually very similar to the Honor Guard that already exists, like the exact same sort of eagle spread helmet. Eagle spread helmet, that is definitely phrasing. But, I don't know, the Victrix helmet it's fine. It doesn't do too much for me, but it's not, offensive. I'm going to put it in B tier. Next up we have, this is Sons of Horus? No, because they were... No, not Sons of Horus. Who is this? This is Tartarus, no doubt. Iron Hands, maybe? I'm thinking this is Iron Hands. I think this is just a painted Tartarus, but it's just bugging me because I don't know what this is from. But yeah, it's just a Tartarus helmet. I'm going to throw it next to the other... I'm just going to throw it next to this Tartarus helmet here. This is a really cool helmet. This is from the White Scars Legion Praetor in Terminator armor. And it's really cool. Honestly, I'm going to put it at the top of A tier. I think it's really, really sick. It doesn't look super Space Marine-y, but I think it fits. It fits really well. It fits really well for not just the White Scars, but I don't know. I think it just works. It really just works. It works. It just works, as Todd Howard would say. Yeah, I like it. Okay, these aren't Space Marines, but I guess we're covering them anyways. Let's do it. This is a... this is the Blade Champion, no? Yeah, this is the Blade Champion helmet. I like this guy's helmet a little more than the normal Custodes helmets. But still, I'll probably put it around here. Yeah. Banana helmets. The banana helmets are iconic. I don't love them. I don't hate them. Yeah, they're going in the sort of bottom of B tier. I like my Custodes, but the helmets are not the reason I like them. Sisters of Silence. This isn't even a modified human. This list is delving into madness. Sisters of Silence look awful. Their models are so bad. Next up, okay, we're back to Space Marines. This is the Master of Possession. Big goat skull helmet? Yeah, bro. Of course that goes into S tier. It's sick. That's sick. Big horns skull helmet? Yeah, it's sick. It's awesome. I'd be insane to put it elsewhere. Possessed helmet with weird open mouth and big horns. Honestly, I don't even think of possessed heads as Space Marine helmets, but they are. I'm going to put them a little above the sort of, the alright tier. This helmet specifically doesn't do too much for me, though. Normal Chaos Space Marine Mark IV helmet. I like this a lot more than normal Mark IVs. I'm going to put this right around... right around here, I think. I love this. Actually, no, I'm going to bump this down to here. This is a cultist, and he's not even wearing a helmet. It's a veil. Get out of here. This is a much better possessed helmet, in my opinion. This bumps it up to right here, in my opinion. I love those really jagged horns that he's got going. Very sick. Mark 7 with horns. Again, sick. Easy A tier. Easy. Put it with the other Mark 7s. And Mark 7 with a top knot. Not as cool as the horns, but still Mark 7. And it's a modern Mark 7. It looks really good. Why are the cultists here? Why are they here? These guys don't count. They aren't Space Marines. You are not Space Marines. Get out of here. Put this girl lower. I hate this Sisters of Silence. Batwinged helmet of the Night Lords. Fairly alright. I don't think it's anything special. It is Mark 7, though it's so twisted, it's kind of hard to tell. Um, yeah, below the Grey Knights. Below the Grey Knights. This is another Night Lord's helmet. It looks pretty insane. Mark 7, really twisted Mark 7. But I know with the other Night Lord's helmet. Once again, this is a Blessed Blade from the Dark Commune. This is not a Space Marine. However, out of these guys, it does look the coolest. Okay, we're back to peak. Alright, I've been satiated. We're back to peak. I'm going to put this behind the Grey Knights helmets. I don't know why this helmet is so cool to me, but when they remake the Chaos Lord and Terminator, which they will, if this helmet doesn't come back, they must be on crack or something like that, because this is such a cool helmet. It's like a four-headed guitar, but as a helmet, and then you give it the huge T-visor. It's sick. Okay, now we're just on to sort of some more generic... Well, not generic, these are all chapter-specific, actually. Chapter-specific heads. This is a Blood Angels, like, Gravis helmet, if I'm not mistaken. I quite like Gravis. The helmets aren't terribly unique, I will say, compared to something like Terminators, which are cooler. Actually, no, cooler is cooler. They look more swag. That is a horrible sentence. They look way better than Gravis helmets. This is in the Blood Angels upgrade sprue. Yes? This is Gravis helmet, yeah? Wait a minute. It's not in the Blood Angels upgrade. Where does this head come from? This must come from the old Blood Angels upgrades, right? Certainly. Yeah, because that's that helmet. I mean, it's a Gravis helmet, which is just a Mark 10 helmet, but a little different. Yeah, with the others that don't do much for me. But I'm sorry, banana heads. This is a very cool Mark 10. Easily up here, just behind the Mark 7s. I mean, it's a Mark 10 with like a cool extra bionic eye and the wire going through his head. Iron hands. Helmets look cool. This is not a helmet. This is a head. This goes with Kayvon, even though it is a really good head, I will say that. We got pretty much our first vanilla Beaky. And because it's a vanilla Beaky, I'm putting it higher than the other Beakies. It looks really good. It's a modern-day Beaky. Looks really good. I'll put it like right around here, with a lot of the other helmets I really like. This is not a helmet. This is a head. Salamanders helmet. I think it's pretty cool. I like the fire. But it's just kind of like a Mark 10 with a, like, Seaburn helmet on. If you guys ever played Halo Reach, yeah, it looks like Seaburn. I'll put it like... I'll put it right here. I like it. Yeah, I like it. That's where I'll put it. Space Wolves. Space Wolves suck. Sorry. I'm being harsh. But... I mean, it's just a Mark 7 with a... Or Mark 10 with a little gem on the head. It's not even particularly Space Wolves. Granted, when Space Wolves go full Space Wolves, like they did with that Iron Priest, no. Mark 10 with an Ultramarines thing on it. It's fine. It's not as cool as the other, like the Gravis, like the Salamanders or the Iron Hands. You know, they're not as cool. That's a White Scars logo, isn't it? When I saw red, I'm like, wait a minute, this is Blood Angels? This isn't Blood Angels. That's not the Blood Angels logo. White Scars. Corsaro. Yeah, this is a White Scars helmet. I guess it makes sense that their sergeants have red helmets, but that just kind of mixed me. Yeah, it's Mark 10. Miss Mark 10. Where's the Ultramarines one? Why is this helmet here twice? Yeah, well, this is another night helmet for the Black Templars. I quite like it. It's cool. We already have this helmet here. I guess double it, give it to the next person. We got a Terminator helmet with a cool little eyepiece on it. That means it's cool and it's going with the other Terminator helmets, but below the Grey Knights and below the Terminator Chaos guy. There's a Mark 10 with a thing on it. Indominus armor with a thing on it goes below the normal Indominus, if I'm being real, and honestly I'm going to put it below this one because this one has the cool eyepiece. Mark 10 with a thing on it. It's a Mark 10 with a thing on it. It does have the goggle, so it will be the top of these, but, you know, Mark 10 with a thing on it. Mark 10 with a thing on it. Okay, now you're speaking my language. Now you're speaking my language. We got Mark, well, Mark 10, could be Mark 7. We got a knight helmet in a hood. Now, what did I say about hoods on Space Marines? It's peak. And it's no exception here. This looks awesome. Easy. Easy top of A tier, right up here. Same with these guys, really. And same with this one, which is like a Mark 10 helmet with a hood on. Very cool. Hoods plus Space Marine helmet equals cool. These are old Deathwatch helmets, no? Because that's the Inquisition. Yeah, this is from the old Deathwatch upgrade sprue. Deathwatch upgrades, right? Right? Hold on, I want to confirm. Yeah, these are from the old Deathwatch sprue that's actually still available for sale. Interesting. Is this plastic? That's not important. I shouldn't be caring if this is plastic or not. That's not important. It's Mark 7 with the thing on it, and that's cooler than Mark 10 with the thing on it, because Mark 7 is a lot cooler than Mark 10 is. So, deducing that, we're putting it here. And same with this is a knight helmet, so I'm going to put it a little below, like here, but still it's Mark 7. Salamanders unique helmets. They're like kind of like dragon beakies, I guess is how I would describe it, right? They're beakies that have like some scale effect on them. I like the sergeant helmet quite a lot, but the other two are good. I'm gonna put them in sort of like the top of B tier, like right around the other salamander helmet. Let's do that. I actually quite like these. I think they're very cool, especially the sergeant helmet. Out of the specific Legion ones we've seen so far, these are the coolest. Now we have the Iron Hands helmets, which are not beakies, not quite Mark 7. They're sort of their own thing, which I respect them for. I quite like these helmets. They're a little more sci-fi than your traditional sort of Space Marine comic book look. But I think that works, honestly. I'm going to put them right alongside the Grey Knights helmets. That's where they're going. And these are all very similar, so I'm not really going to differentiate. And the gear works as a wide... what's it called? Plume, if you will. Death Guard helmets. I like these more than normal Death Guard helmets, I'll say that. They're sort of like Mark III, but not full-on Mark III, which definitely isn't, which isn't great because Mark III helmets are really cool, and these are like kind of weird Mark III helmets. They're very similar to the old Plague Marine, the one standing with his gun in one hand, very bow-legged. But meh. Death Guard sucks. Sorry, that was mean, but they do. White Scars beakies. These are just kind of beakies, but their eyes are a little thinner, which the Raven Guard did cooler, which I guess is kind of spoiling, but it's true. I think these helmets are fine. Out of the unique chapter ones, they're probably in the upper echelon. They're not as cool as the Salamanders. Still very cool. And then finally, to wrap this video up that's been going on for only 35 minutes. 38 minutes before you correct me, I know. These helmets I have a particular soft spot for. Now, I'm sure most of you are aware, but for those of you who aren't, these are very, very overt references to RTB-01. Or is it 02? RTB-01. RTB-01 Space Marines. 01 Space Marines. This is a very overt reference to the original sort of Space Marines, especially in artwork. Their eyes were very often depicted in this very slanty, swoopy style, right? And I really like the Raven Guard helmets. They're a very cool homage to that classic beaky aesthetic. They angled down a little more than your standard beakies, which makes sense because that's how the old beakies were. And I really like them. They're very tasteful, very cool. I'm not going to put them in S tier, but I am going to put them in A tier. I quite like these. Honestly, I would probably pick some of these off, clip off the Raven Guard logos, and have some really cool beakies to put into my army. Anyways, that's everything. Talk about a really weird selection. Why were all the cultists here? Those aren't Space Marines. Those are not Space Marines. Neither is this ugly Sisters of Silence. They are not Space Marines. They should not be here. Anyways, talk about a wild ride, huh? I've been Spoons Rattling. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you all next time.